Hi, James.
How is everybody doing?
Good.
Hey,
Excellent,
Hey,
excellent.
James.
So Emily, I want to start with you actually, because this show has a lot of interesting elements to it and such a wonderful cast. So how are you kind of all able to balance the search for this treasure, the mysterious nature of the Greyborn, all these great character moments that you have, even in these just first couple episodes?
Um, do you feel so? You thought we balanced it?
I sure as hell think you did. Yeah, it was amazing too.
So, like, I want to tell you it was super easy and that it like was no problem. It was fun. It was like it was exciting. It felt like, oh my God, we're in completely uncharted territory here. I don't have a template to follow. This is a mashup of genres, and I cannot tell you how many conversations we had where it was like, well, this, are we leaning into the supernatural? Is this a fun show about young people? Is this like real estate porn? Is this a love story? And I was kind of like, yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. And we will find a way to make it all weave together. And I think we did. I think the idea was just to like rush headlong into it and say like, yes, it is all of these things. And it can coexist. Like, this is a really big building. So like you can fit all those genres inside of it. And a great, credit to the actors for being so nimble and just kind of like letting us go to these places where it's like, okay, this is a party scene. Everybody's at a party. And this is a scene. Okay, now we're in a super spooky basement. And now we're like, now we're in the park with a bunch of kids. It's like, let's just do it. Let's try it and see what happens. And that's very exciting as a writer and a producer and as a viewer.
You guys had me leaning so much, my vertigo started acting up, and it was great. I loved it. It's awesome. You made great use of the space. Warren, I don't know, man. I want to trust Matthew. I want to believe he's this genuine good dude. He's just a good dad. He's mourning the loss of his wife. But who would you say is the real Matthew Ward, or is that kind of up for us to decide as the season goes on?
I think it's the beauty of, this show is, and the play that will happen as we go along with it is, I mean, we know what type of genre this is. It's many, but we know what it is. So you should mistrust everyone. And that's the beauty of it, right? I mean, the best way to kind of play with that is to just be as genuine as possible with what's going on in that moment. He is a grieving father. He's a widower now, he's a single father. And that's his sole focus. So I do believe at the core, that's it. As we go along, everybody's got secrets, everybody's got different things. And, you put it in the backdrop of this uber rich world. And there's just so many things to play with. It's just too much fun.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. And Amy, Tori's about as tough as it gets. I don't think I could ever remember you playing a character quite like her and all the stuff that I've seen you in. So what do you think really motivates her? And is it best? What's best for Jasper? Is it what happened to Allie? Something else? What's going on with her?
yeah, no, it's very fun, something very different for me, and I've had a lot of fun kind of diving into it. I think what Warren was saying too about all the characters, that you don't trust them all, but I think they all have something that they're fighting for. Matthew's fighting for Jasper, and Elena's fighting for what she's fighting for. I don't know if I'm supposed to give that away, but Tory kind of has this sense of responsibility that she almost is the Greyborn, and so it's all those things. She's worried about Jasper, she's worried about Matthew, she's worried about the money, she's worried about the Greyborn building. So she's got a lot on her plate, and a lot, you never know what people will do when they're fighting for stuff they believe in.
That's a lot of stress that's just put on her plate there. I almost didn't realize it. Even I've already seen the first two episodes, didn't even realize that. And then you throw Elena into the mix, which is a huge curveball. So for you, Amy and Warren, how do you think Elena challenges your characters in different ways?
You go ahead, Amy.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, I think she's really the catalyst to the whole story and the eyes and ears of the audience. So Elena coming in for Tory is, whereas other people, Matthew may not see the red flags, I think all Tory sees is red flags. And she's like, who is this woman? Why is she here? Why is she in your house? Why is she, any question she can come up in any way that she can try to get Elena to mess up is something that she's determined to show that she's right and that Elena is a problem. So yeah.
And I think with Matthew, like I was saying earlier, you're talking about a guy who's suddenly a single father trying to help his son heal. And so when he sees the connection she has, when he sees she's just different than everyone else that's come in, and what she could offer, not just to Jasper, but to him, which is relief and maybe an opportunity for him to finally grieve, all these different things measured in. It's what Amy says. I think he overlooks a few red flags. He's like a lot of us in life, we tend to see what we want to see. And because of that, you know, you've seen the first couple, but down the road, you kind of see that whole world and how it all intersects. But she's just this different breath of fresh air into not just their lives, but this whole building, which is set a very specific way. And it's just, she's just ballsy, man. She just comes in and she does this stuff. And I think that for Matthew specifically, he didn't realize how much he needed that until she came in. And now it'll all start to have its own set of consequences and changes, obviously, because that's life. But in that moment, it's almost like he's finally like, okay, maybe it's going to be okay.
She's ballsy and she's quick. So that's definitely something that makes things very, very interesting. Emily, really quickly, I feel like this is one of those shows where you're going to see fans start to choose sides. You're going to see fans start to decide who they're going to be rooting for. Do you feel like the twists in this show will not only kind of keep fans guessing, but also questioning their loyalties with these characters as well as we go on?
I'll be interested to see if people end up like choosing teams. And you know, I think in a certain genre of show, like a certain kind of romantic show, you know, it's usually is this couple or that couple. What's interesting about this show is that everything is so sort of like slippery and unpredictable. I think people will have to choose a different team at the end of every episode. And I give everybody blanket permission to change teams as much as they need to. Because like, I don't want someone to like commit really early on and be like, I'm team Mrs. Ivy, and then be like, well, now I have to stick with that because I called it. You know, I think what's really exciting about shows like this is that like, you should feel a little bit like your loyalties are being tested every week. You as a viewer, where you're like, I love this person. This is the greatest person ever. They definitely are not secretly evil. And then you're like, next episode, that person is not even secretly evil. They're overtly evil. And now I don't love them anymore. Maybe I do. I don't know. But like, I think what was just fun was that like all the characters have so much depth, and, you know, a great credit to the actors for bringing that to each of them. And I think our objective was always to make you care about everyone, even if you're suspicious of them, even if you think they might be secretly evil. Like, you should still care deeply for them, because like no one's just secretly evil for no reason. There's always a reason. And like, you know, excavating the reason was what we were after. I just hope at some point there's like t-shirts that are like, you know, Team Tory, Team Matthew, and I'm gonna have to get one of each and just cycle them through.
So what you're saying is get your multiple hashtags ready for the entire season, because the Watchful Eye premieres, double episode premiere on Monday, January the 30th on Freeform, and it moves to its regular time, 10 o'clock after that every week. Amy, Emily, Warren, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, James.